Chapter 10. Scarlet Fever. "Papa, I feel sick," Yurik whispered to his sleeping father. Alex's eyes snapped open. In the darkness, he saw his son leaning over him and clutching his head. Alex jumped out of bed and took Yurik into the kitchen. Alex put the light on and put his hand to the boy's burning, flushed cheeks. He had a high fever. When Jacob first left the rain-infested ghetto, Warsaw seemed to be clean to him. These days in 1942, he saw sick people everywhere. Mila boiled the family's drinking water because German bombings had contaminated the wells. Uncle Gaylor told Jacob the hospitals were full and the doctors had no medicine to give patients. Despite this, they had remained healthy. Now, with one of them sick, none of them might be strong enough to withstand infection. The next morning, Gaylor examined Yurik. Alex and Mila hovered nearby. "Scarlet fever," announced Gaylor. "Let me check the others. It's very contagious." He took each child's temperature, listened to their heartbeats, and felt for swollen glands. When he had finished, Gaylor took Alex and Mila into the living room and said, "Only Gaelic." When he finished, Gaylor took Alex and Mila into the living room and said, "Only Gaelic doesn't have it. Yurik must get to a hospital immediately. Mariska is strong, and her case is not too bad. As for Orish, his case is mild, but he's so weak." Gaylor scratched his beard. "I don't know what to say. We can't take the chance of sending him out. If they discover he's Jewish, it will be the end of him and your family. We'll just have to treat him here." When Alex took Yurik to the hospital, Jacob and Sholem moved into the same room. Sholem asked in a small voice. "My name is Ginnik Orish," Jacob responded entirely from his book. "Am I going to die, Ginnik?" Sholem asked, looking at Sholem's white face. Jacob felt guilty for his impatience. "You're not going to die," he answered, forcing a smile on his face. "We're invincible. Remember, nothing can happen to us." Sholem's face relaxed, and he let out a big, deep breath. Surely his brother wouldn't lie to him. For Jacob, it was unthinkable that Sholem wouldn't get better. He quickly hushed the nagging voice, reminded him that many unmergenable things had happened already. "Boys," Mila called to them from the doorway. "I'm going to visit Yurik at the hospital. Be sure to drink all the water I left on the night table. If you need something, call Mariska." Mila stepped into the dim hospital ward. Every bed was filled. Some patients lay on mattresses on the floor. Groans echoed through the room, casting her eyes anxiously about for her son. She saw his waving hand. "Mama," he called. "Oh, Yurik, you look so much better," Mila said, kissing him as she sat down on the edge of the bed. "How about some home-cooked food?" she asked, pulling out a potato dumpling for him. He eagerly reached for it and took a big bite. "Now I know you're better," Mila smiled. When he finished, he drew his mother close to him and whispered, "Look," pointing under his pillow and several envelopes containing pills. "I've been saving half of my medicine for Orish," Yurik said, "and I wrote down all the directions for you. I'm proud of you," she whispered, quickly putting the medicine into her bag. She looked at Yurik, already a head taller, that she had showed traces of a mustache. The war had turned him into a man too soon, but at least he was a good man. Mila ran into Gaylor as she arrived home. After inquiring about Yurik, he told her, "I examined the children. Mariska and Janik seem fine, but Orish has some kidney problems. If he gets past it, he'll start to get better quickly." Mila didn't want to ask him what would happen if he didn't get past it. Instead, she showed him towards the medicine Yurik hadn't given her. "Wonderful," Gaylor examined. "He has some kidney problems. If he gets past it, he'll start to get better quickly." Mila didn't want to ask what would happen if he didn't get past it. Instead, she showed him to the medicine Yurik had given her. "Wonderful," Gaylor exclaimed. "I can't get my hands on this anymore. It could make a real difference with Orish," he said as he excited into the apartment. Mila cooked the medicine into Sholem with a little sugar water. "Maybe it's my imagination," she told him, "but most of my boys look better today." Hoping she was right, Sholem smiled weakly as she bathed him. with a cold cloth to bring down his fever. That night, Shalom's moans disturbed Jacob's sleep. "Are you awake?" he asked. There was no reply. "I don't feel so good," Shalom finally answered. His hair was damp, and perspiration made his clothing cling to his body. "Maybe if I go to the bathroom I'll feel better." Hearing their voices, Alex and Mila entered the room. Shalom tried to smile. "I'll take you to the toilet," Alex said, carrying the boy in his arms. Jacob followed, holding his brother's hand. Mila put a cool wet cloth on the little boy's head. "Feel better?" Alex asked. Shalom smiled into Alex's eyes. He put his head on Alex's shoulders and closed his eyes. Jacob felt Shalom's hand loosen its grip. To be questioned, "Is he sleeping?" He got no reply. Instead, Mila took his hand from Shalom's and held it tightly. Sobs racked Alex's shoulders. Gently, he laid Shalom on the bed and closed his eyes. "He's dead?" Jacob asked. Nodding once, Mila put her hands on his shoulders. "He didn't suffer, Geniek, and that's good," Jacob said automatically. As Mila reached out to him, he pulled away. If he allowed the embrace, he might cry, not only for Shalom, but for everyone and everything he'd lost. He sniffed back a few tears, pushing down the grief rising inside him. When he thought about his parents or the time in ghetto, it seemed as if there was something that had happened to some other boy, as though it were only a story or a movie he had once watched. Maybe one day he would feel the same about this night. He turned to Alex and asked, "What will you do with him?" Alex looked down. "I don't know, Geniek," he sighed, "but we have to do it right. We have to bury him the proper way." Alex searched for the largest wicker trunk he could find, but it was only 4 feet long. He would have to bury Shalom sitting up. As he dug a hole in the basement, he recalled the story that Zeniek, a young cripple who worked in the cemetery, had once told him. Jews are buried sitting up. Zeniek said, repainting the tall tale, because when the militia comes, they won't be able to spring out of the grave to greet him. Alex whispered to Shalom, "Little one, you will be the first to see the militia." He gently closed the lid, covering it with earth.